All right, we are live, guys. Welcome back to today's Futures Afternoon Update. This is Mark from TRADEPRO Academy, coming at you guys from TRADEPRO Academy headquarters here in Toronto, Ontario. We've got a pretty poor day out there. It's snowing here in Toronto, so not the most exciting weather outside. However, we had some good opportunities here in our markets. So let's go on with that. Welcome, everybody. If you guys are new, what we are doing here is giving this a nice little pilot, doing the midday update. You guys are already aware of the morning update at 9 a.m. Eastern. If you guys are not, make sure to subscribe and join us 9 a.m. where George will cover some of the overnight drivers, overnight headline risks going into the session, give you guys some potential biases leading into the morning. And I have decided to come on here now for you guys 12 p.m. just to take a look at what the market did since that update, take a look at some of the news that came out, take a look at some of the news that is scheduled for the remainder of the session, and then we take a look at the quote board, see what the volumes are looking like for the session, see what the daily change percentage is looking like, and then we dive down into our charts. And I will give you guys some nice levels to keep an eye on the crude oil futures and SP 500 futures into the latter half of the session. So with that said, let's get started. We'll cover the news first. So this morning, Georgie spoke on FOMC member Evans spoke earlier today. We also had the Empire State Manufacturing Index come out. As far as what was released after the YouTube update in the morning, we didn't have anything. The next thing that we have on schedule is FOMC member Evan is scheduled to speak again at 1 p.m. Eastern. So in about 55 minutes time. And we also have the tick long-term purchase. That's at 4 p.m. So we'll see, might see some volatility on the back of FOMC member Evan speaking. It is a medium impact event, so not expecting too much volatility, but we can see some volatility on the back of that speech. What he did mention earlier in the morning, he is a dove and he's also a voter, was that data has improved, but inflation remains a little weaker than I would like to see. Do not see room for a rate cut now. So not the best sentiment there. And that is basically all that we have for news events. And again, it's good to have a squawk handy just in case we do see any tape bombs come out, especially as it relates to the China-US trade negotiations currently going on and in the headlines. So that's all that we've got for news. And let me close those windows up here. Now we're going to flip on over to the charts. And let me get my screen share going here. And we want this guy right here, share. All right, perfect. So we've got our charts up now, guys, and let me show you what we're looking at here. So crude oil futures, you can see we've traded around 412,000 contracts on the session, down just over 1%. That is about on average for what we've been seeing. SPOs, however, we have only traded around 500,000 contracts so far in the session, which is quite weak volume relative to the last couple of weeks. We've been seeing around 750 to 800,000 contracts traded around this time of day, and we're seeing less than that today. So a little bit less volatility, and we're also down 0.32% on that front as well. So that's showing you a little bit more direction here in crude to start the session. However, we had good opportunities on both markets on today's session. What you guys can see here on the pivot charts, this is crude oil, this is S&P 500. So on crude, let me kind of expand this here. What we can see is that we had to start the morning around 9 a.m. Eastern. We're somewhere around here. We're rather below the S1. We're in the S2 region. You can see S2 overnight here. This was around Asia time, right after London. So London, we saw a little bit move lower, found some support on the S2, came back up into the S1 during the just before the New York cash open. New York cash opened, we saw a bit of a bid that came into our intraday highs here around those 63.80s. Sold off from there. We're back below both the S1, S2. Now retesting that S2. That level comes in around the 63.20s. And we're looking to hold that level as resistance, potential slide down into the S3 zone. As far as SPOs are concerned, this is kind of playing along with the script we had on Friday. If I zoom out here, I was mentioning that this 2,900 level is a big round number resistance. Mentioned there was a previous top here who had 1, 2, 3, 4 tests of that level before we ultimately got the breakout to the upside. And now what you're seeing here is a little bit of a rotation back down into that zone. That zone also lines up almost with that 2,900 level. 28.9742 is your S1. So watching that level as support into this latter half of the session. Want to see how price reacts around here. If we start seeing some consolidation, and we could see a potential run back up to the current session highs around those 15s. If not, if we do get in this level and fade back within this range, then we've got this range here between the 2,900 and the 2880s, which we'll be keeping a close eye on. So with that said, sentiment here is bearish on crude. We are at the overnight low, however, so this is a classic level for crude. It likes to hang around there, and most oftentimes it'll get us a nice retracement back to that open. So that's what we'll be watching for here. Let's open up that oil chart, get you guys a little bit more background as to what we're seeing, and that is ultimately lower lows and lower highs at the moment. If I zoom out even further here, what you will see, there you go, is we had a nice run up over the last couple of weeks. Crude has been quite bullish, and we've seen it in the COT reports that Georgie covered in the Market Analysis Live last night for the subscribers. We had double top here. Let's get this guy a little bit thicker. Oops, too thick. There we go. So nice little double top here. 1, 2. This is our market structure low here. This was the low. We had the breakdown below that low, retest. There's our lower high. There's the lower low. Little pullback. Couldn't quite get back above these zones here. This was on Friday. And then overnight here, a little bit of a sell-off. Back down into fresh lows. We had a rotation higher into that previous day close. This is where we were looking to short it in the room right around these 75s on that retest into this zone here, and that played out quite nicely. Now we're back in the overnight lows here, and you can see this market is starting to consolidate a little bit. Big levels as far as the remainder of the session go. You've got obviously your big round number here, 63 bucks. You can see this blue line here showing you that there are some bids around that zone, and we could watch for a move back down into there. But at the same time, we are right at those overnight lows. We've seen 1, 2, 3. This will be the 4th rotation at that zone. This is also a nice Globex point of volume profile notch here, also on the 5-day volume profile. Nice notch there as well. So we could be seeing some potential support here. If this level does hold, we aren't able to crack back down into these 63s, then I can see us pushing back up into the open. Wouldn't surprise me, as that's quite characteristic of crude, is to go above the open, fade everybody down to the downside, get everybody short, and then rip the stops back up into that open. So that's also something that we'll be watching for. So this would be considered a counter trend fade if you're looking to long it up back into the open. So what you can do in this kind of a case is to reduce your size. If you're normally trading 2s or 3s, you'll take it at 1 or 2 and risk less. You know, you always want to protect the capital. And so that's what we'll do there. Last lower high came in at those 63.70, 75. So if we do have a fresh low, if we see this rotation higher, I could see it coming into those 63.50s. That would still give us lower lows and lower highs. And if we do come in here, start seeing some rotations, could see that move ultimately back down into that overnight low and into that 63 round number. So that's what we'll be watching for here on crude. As far as the SPOs are concerned, again, this 2,900 is a big level. As I mentioned on the pivot charts, this is what it looks like on the range bar charts. There's 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests. And on the 5th try, we got that nice breakout. Had a chance here, came back down into those 2902s. This was on Friday, 2902s. retested those prior highs here in those 14 halves. We saw a failure there in today's session. Was that today's session? Oh, that was Sunday's session. So Sunday, we had a move back up into that zone, right into here, failure. And on today's session here, we broke back below this 5-day volume profile point of control, that big yellow zone, rotated there, held those VWAPs, pushed back down, hit that previous day low now. We've also broken those previous lows. Didn't quite trade the 2,900 even number, came into 2,900 quarter and saw a nice bounce, which we've seen some resistance here in those 05s. And now it's pressing back down towards those lows. So what's the next play here? Well, I wouldn't be surprised, quite honestly, to see the SPOs come right back below here and then to rip back up into that zone, find some support and continue higher. Our overall trend is still bullish. You can see, like I said, if we zoom out, that market structure is still bullish, making higher lows, higher highs. This double top looks like a bit of a pullback. If we do get back below this 2,900 level, where is your next support? Well, your next support would be right in here, right around those 93s. And so if we do break there, whoops, that's huge. There we go. So if we do get back below that zone, you can see us pushing down into this level here. This little blue line that you're seeing right here, that is the 5-day volume profile value area low. Also comes in with a couple of key levels. I believe this was a previous day close on Friday. And so also seeing a big volume notch on the 5-day volume profile right around that level. So if we do get back below this 2,900s, you can see this move into those 93s. Again, we are bullish, so we are looking for the same thing, rotations and continuation higher. So that's what we're watching for here, guys. At the moment, we are seeing a bit of a double top. So buying may be a little bit contained, but like I said, it wouldn't be out of the character of the SPOs to come back in, try a double bottom low, take out the low here, and then come back in, start finding a base and pushing higher. So that's what we'll be watching for here on the SPOs. You guys have your key levels for the remainder of the session. Again, our highs on the ES, I believe all-time highs are around the 29, was it 47 or 42? Not quite sure. I'll have to take a look into that for you guys, but well above where we're currently trading. I don't quite think we'll get there today, but keep an eye out on that 2,900 to those 2,914 halves is what we're saying. And to finish off this update, we're going to take a quick peek at the TRADEPRO Performance Index. So this is something that we introduced around September of last year, and we've been tracking these numbers on a daily basis. What it shows you is basically how our community members are doing within the Discord chat. These are the members that have access to the daily trading webinars. They trade with us from around 9:30 a.m. till around 11:30 a.m. Those hours are going to be extended quite soon in the beginning of May. And what these figures essentially show you is a poll of, or rather the results of a poll that we run in the room. And we basically ask the traders before we sign off, let's do a poll, guys. Show us whether you were up for the day, flat for the day, or down for the day. Take those numbers, throw them into the spreadsheet, and voila, you got your TRADEPRO Performance Index. So this is a good gauge of how the community is doing, how our members are taking the knowledge and how they're applying it in the live environment. And what you can see for today's date, we had a great rebound from Friday and Thursday. 75% of the room was green on live, trading live capital today. 54% were green, 20% were flat, and 25% were down. So nice bounce back from those last 2 days. Today, again, wasn't the easiest to trade, but there was a bit more volatility, a bit more opportunity, albeit the SPOs had quite low volume. So 75%, great number. We look to continue that trend into the remainder of the week. Just remember, we will be having a bit of a shorter week as we likely won't be doing any trading here on the Friday. So that's all that we got for you guys today. If you will be trading into the latter half of the session, make sure to follow the 3 rules. Stay patient, stay diligent, and stay disciplined. Until tomorrow, Trade Pros, you guys take care. Good luck and good trading. It's Mark again signing off here from TRADEPRO Academy headquarters in Toronto, Ontario. You guys have a good one. Take care.